Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey, hello there. How you doing? I just sneezed about 20 times, so I might sound a little more nasal than usual. It's April 6th. It'd be a Tuesday, a sunny one at that, and I think my sister's on the line. Susan?
I am.
God, listen to you.
I am. Here, I'll bring my voice up here.
I am. No, I don't want it up there. I just want it without the growl attached to it.
I can't help it. That's how I sound.
Oh, my. Okay.
Oh, God, and I'm snorting to boot. Okay.
Yeah, we're snorting, and they just generally don't sound too good, but whatever. Okay, funniest thing I read today is from your old hometown newspaper, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. And here, I'll share it with everybody. It's a quote. Well, it's a story, but the quote, the headline is, "Stay out of politics," Mitch McConnell tells U.S. CEOs.
Right.
Right. And I think, excuse me? Mitch.
Tell that to the Koch brothers or the Koch brothers or whatever their name is.
The fuckheads. Listen, I got to tell you that for Mitch McConnell, how can he say things like that with a straight face? Corporate America is why he is in power. I mean, it's just beyond belief.
Yes, well now, and it's just cracking me up because between him and Rubio, their new favorite word is woke.
Oh, I know. Woke. Yeah.
The woke corporations, right. I mean, two words you never expect to have put together.
Yeah. Man, geez. Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, the corporate CEO should the CEO should say to Mitch, okay, we'll stay out. All those checks we've been writing, yeah, okay, we won't. Never mind. Bye-bye. Good advice. Jeez, stay out of politics, right? Corporations.
Yeah, let's call Mitch and say, right. So I'm assuming that you're going to write some legislation that will counteract the Citizens United decision, and it'll be a fine, bill bipartisan. Wouldn't that be fun?
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be something?
Sure. Well, put his mouth where his mouth is.
Jeez.
Can't put it in the same place twice. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Well, the thing. Speaking of another former powerful Republican who has a book coming out called On the House, which is a good title.
Boehner.
And it's written by the former Speaker of the House, John Boehner. And I got to tell you, some of the
Did you just say Bon Janer?
I don't think I did. I said Don. And
Don instead of John. Okay.
Instead of John. So I just need to share some of the quotes I've seen from the book because these are funny. He was talking about the first midterm election after Obama was elected, and if you'll recall, it was 2010, and the Democrats lost like a gazillion seats in the House and the Senate. It was just this is what the fear is that will happen again in 2022. And Boehner, that election vaulted him, obviously, into the speakership. And he said this: you could be a total moron and get elected just by having an R next to your name. And that year, by the way, we did pick a fair number in that category. In other words, morons. So that's a Republican saying that, right, the Republicans were electing morons. And then he was saying that when he was asked by Brian Williams of whether or not Barack Obama was in fact born in the United States, a big, hot, important issue at the time, he said, hey, the state of Ohio says he was. It's good enough for me. And he said you would have thought I called Ronald Reagan a communist. And it was his first wake-up call of how insane the Republican base was really getting. And he said, he couldn't get Obama to work with him very much. But then he says, but on the other hand, how do you find common cause with people who think you're a secret Kenyan Muslim traitor? Right. I just think, yeah. Okay, here he is on Rupert Murdoch. He was a businessman. He cared about ratings and the bottom line. He was also always asking who was up, who was down, what bills could pass, what couldn't. If he entertained any of the kooky conspiracy theories that started to take over his network, he kept it a secret from me, but he clearly didn't have a problem with them because his ratings were up. But then he says Roger Ailes believed this crap. And he speaks of Ailes as if he really were a paranoid.
Well, there was something off about that man in a lot of ways.
Yeah. He said he went on and on about the terrorist attack on the U.S. Embassy in Benghazi, which he thought was part of a grand conspiracy that led back to Hillary Clinton. And then he outlined elaborate plots by which George Soros and the Clintons and Obama were trying to destroy him. They're monitoring me, he assured me, about the Obama White House. Now that sounds like a crazy person. And that was Ailes. God. And here he is on Ted Cruz. You gotta love this. He's talking about the right-wing media and how all the money coming into the party was driven by creating outrage, which the media was, in the forefront of. And then he says, and now this crowd had a new head lunatic leading the way, who wasn't even a House member. There's nothing more dangerous than a reckless asshole who thinks he's smarter than everyone else. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Senator Ted Cruz.
Well, it's been known for a very long time that he is the most reviled member of both houses.
There's a picture that hit yesterday of Cruz, and when I first saw it, I thought it was Fidel Castro. I am not kidding you. He's grown. He had on, a cap, and it looks like Fidel Castro. And then this morning on Twitter, somebody who had the exact same reaction I did actually put the picture of Ted Cruz next to a picture of Fidel Castro, and damn, they look like twins. It is hysterical. He's now grown, his hair is growing in every which way. And he's got a beard. I mean, I feel sorry for Castro. I mean, now. It's
an unfair comparison, right?
Well, yeah, but I got to tell you, if you can find this picture, it was in the papers yesterday. Generally speaking, I mean, it was the picture that was used for whatever Ted Cruz was in the news for yesterday. Man, looks just like him. Okay, so Susan and I were both impressed by the guest Jeopardy host yesterday, who is NFL quarterback.
I think he should get the job. I just, I forgot within 2 seconds, once he got into the game, he just did a totally professional job. He forgot it was Aaron Rodgers, there was only twice that I thought, okay, your imitation of Alex was just a little over the top there. But I mean, he studied that guy.
Well, Susan, that's exactly right. And for some reason, the Post is not letting me get it. The Washington Post had an article, and Rodgers said he went,
he did
about
the tapes.
this job.
Yeah.
He went about this job like he would as a quarterback. He looked at the tapes. He looked at a million shows, and he took notes. He wrote down what Alex would say, going to a commercial, what Alex would say to a good answered response, what Alex would say, and all of these. So he had all these notes, and then he sort of studied it so that he would. Yeah, he was channeling Trebek. He was sounding like Trebek. But what kind of sort of discipline and seriousness about the job he was going to do?
Well, that's who he is. He's a really odd egg. A total nerd about whatever he's into. And he throws himself body and soul into it, and Jeopardy is one of those things. I just thought he did a really good job, and if anybody's going to go back and look at it, I sort of don't want to spoil the last part, but the ending was cute as could be.
Well, and yes, the ending was cute, and guys, there's no one in Pittsburgh who should miss the it aired here last night. Who would miss the final Jeopardy, because the answer was our own dear Mr. Rodgers. That was the answer, and only one guy got it right.
Right.
So Rodgers is hosting it for the next 2 weeks. No, he looks good. He sounds good. If I were to say anything to him about his performance, I would say, he's such a cool kind of customer, as was Trebek. I just think he should have a little more energy in a way. Just a little, just a little more.
I think I just watched the whole week. My guess is that you're seeing a little bit of nerves in day one, and that it'll loosen
It's
up
weird.
A little
He said
bit.
he did a breathing exercise that he does even in games when he gets nervous, and it settles down his racing heart. And it's so weird because it's the same exercise I do, and it's from the Marine. It's like some of the special forces or something were taught this, and it's they call it different things, square breathing, but I did it just the other night because my head was racing and I was having trouble falling asleep. And I'll let everybody know what it is. It is not hard. It's just it is known to have a physical impact on the body, which is it settles it down. And all it is you breathe in for 4 counts, you hold for 4 counts, you breathe out for 4 counts, you hold for 4 counts. So you think of it as a box. It's just 4, 4, 4, 4. A breath in, and then that pause, then breath out and pause. All of them 4 counts each. And you do that for a while, and that is actually supposed to. It calms you. First of all, it focuses you on your breath, which is a meditative thing in the first place. And then it just has a physiological impact. So that's one of the things he apparently did. Yeah, he seemed pretty good. My guess is this guy has so much, it's just so clear. This is a guy who's smart as hell, who's attractive, who's quick-witted, who's nice, approachable. The world is his oyster after his career in football, and the world is his oyster. He can obviously go right into sports broadcasting and make a ton of money. Although he said, given the choice,
he'd do Jeopardy. Well, he could do them both.
Wants to do. I don't know. He wants to do Jeopardy. He really is going for this job.
Yeah, I know he is.
Yeah.
I know he is.
Funny.
Well, he's in love. He's,
who's he in love with again?
Shailene Woodley.
Shailene Woodley.
Yeah, she's in Big Little Lies. She was the woman who had a child by a vicious rape. That was her character.
I didn't watch that, but I think I first knew her from a movie set in Hawaii where George Clooney was her father. It was a pretty serious movie. What the hell was that? She played his daughter. I don't know what it was. But Shailene Woodley. So they're engaged, or
they're engaged and in love, and and your mother is terrified that he's going to play for that he's going to leave Green Bay prematurely so he can be close to her.
Oh, come on, that's ridiculous. First of all, it doesn't matter, but his love affairs have not ended well, so I'll believe it when I see it.
We'll just see. But they've all hung out in Green Bay. So from Olivia Munn on. So
yeah. So there was Olivia Munn, then Danica Patrick. And now, well, good luck. Anyway, okay. Funniest thing I saw today. Oh, no, I already said that was Mitch McConnell, didn't I?
Yeah. Why did you see that I saw that in the Washington Post. Why did you see that in the St. Louis paper?
Well, it said St. Louis on it, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. I don't know. Maybe I got it off Twitter. I'm not sure. No, I got it where I saw it. It was stlouistoday.com.
Yeah, that's the Post-Dispatch. Yeah.
Okay. So I bet these guys aren't going to let me get at this. For some reason, the goddamn is not letting me see. I'm a subscriber to the Fucking Washington Post. Why are you not letting me in here? Excuse me.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for yes, I already have an account. Sign in. I don't know my goddamn you. I don't know. How am I supposed to know all of these friggin' passwords?
What?
And then I'm not supposed to use the same one? Are you kidding me?
Well, you use the same one for things like newspapers. What are they going to...
I use the same one for everything. And I've used it for 4 years now. And it's a good one. Oh, I shouldn't give it. I was going to give it.
No, you can't give it.
I was, because I love it. Okay. They want my fucking password. Excuse me. I am in okay. I got to put the phone down because I can't do caps. And see, here's the problem with me holding this damn phone. Okay. Susan, sing something.
Do I have to sing?
No.
All hail to the East High, my alma mater. All praise and honor to...
I got it. Stop. It looks like I'm already a subscriber. Screw you. And I've been paying you money for... God dang. Okay. So this has to do with a monument that was in a cemetery in Selma, Alabama, and a group called, get this, White Lies Matter. Okay?
Yeah. This is my favorite.
Isn't it the greatest? White Lies Matter.
LIES, right.
Yes, right. They stole how they got this huge, it's a chair. It's a big,
monument chair, like in a cemetery.
Yeah, and it's called the Jefferson Davis Memorial Chair. And it's believed that it is worth $500,000. And somehow this group, White Lies Matter, managed to make off with this huge thing. And they're ransoming it. They are telling the good ladies who put up this statue, this thing, to laud the Confederacy, the United Daughters of the Confederacy, who are responsible for most of the noxious Confederate statues throughout the South. This group is saying to them, on Friday, you got to hang this banner, which we will provide to you. And it's a banner that says, it's a statement from a black, they say black radical in here. It's a woman who now lives in Cuba, I think, right?
Well, right. And she's absconded from a murder charge, so.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I forget what it says because I can't find what it says. But, it says something that the Daughters of the Confederacy would find, appalling. But these guys are so funny. Their whole letter to these people is a riot. I mean, they're clever as hell. So they included, just to show that they had the chair, they included, how sometimes you kidnap somebody, you do what's called a proof of life photo. So you take a picture of the kidnapped person holding that day's newspaper, right? So
right.
They're alive. I got them, right?
Right. Well, I have the article if you want.
Okay. Well, they say if they don't put this banner up, they are going to turn this incredibly ornate sculptured chair into a toilet. And then I think they photoshopped. Then they did. They showed what they were going to do to it. So they cut a round hole out of the bottom. They're going to make it a toilet. That's what we're going to do if you don't put the banner up.
The banner needs to read, "The rulers of this country have always considered their property more important than our lives."
Our lives.
It's a quote from Assata Shakur.
Okay.
And she was a member of the Black Liberation Army.
Okay. So, part of what the White Lives Matter, the kidnappers of the chair, wrote to the Confederate ladies, America's original sin is that people were kidnapped from their homes and forced to build one of the most prosperous nations in the world without being allowed to participate in it. We decided, in the spirit of such ignominious traditions, to kidnap a chair instead. Jefferson Davis doesn't need it anymore. He's long. And to be honest, he never even had the chance to sit in it in the first place. Okay, sorry. God, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm being tortured.
Which part did you want to read next?
I will read next. Like most Confederate monuments, the chair mostly exists to remind those whose freedom had to be purchased in blood that there still exists a portion of our country that is more than willing to continue to spill blood to avoid paying that debt down.
Right. They write, "We took their toy. We don't feel guilty about it. They never play with it anyway. They just want it there to remind us what they've done and what they are still willing to do."
But the South won't rise again, not as a Confederacy, because that coalition left out a large portion of its population. All that's left of that nightmare is an obscenely heavy chair that's a throne for a ghost whose greatest accomplishment was treason. So they're audacious, they're funny, and they write well.
Right, and they said if they do display the banner, not only will we return the chair intact, but we will clean it to boot. For all that talk about heritage, they really haven't taken care of the thing.
The good Confederate ladies haven't dusted.
They haven't dusted. Well, where's a slave when you need one? They don't do that stuff.
God almighty.
Well, and they're asking that they do this during their big antebellum celebration where they parade around in hoop skirts and give tours of beautiful plantations.
Isn't that something that there's people still doing that? God almighty. Actually, when the Georgia governor signed that
cancel culture. How can they even say this stuff with a straight face? They're trying to cancel half the population, and when called on it, they're canceled. I know. Their reaction is now to boycott these corporations, which is canceling them. A boycott would be part of cancel culture. They engage in it. I mean, Trump was the master of that. He was constantly, remember, tweeting, this one is, we get rid of them, pay no attention to them, don't buy that, don't this, that. I mean, they have nothing but rage and lies. That's all they've got. Yeah, rage and lies. Imagine that the only platform that you've got is a lie, is the big steal.
Yeah.
That's their platform, and it's a lie, and they're all going to get sued. Yeah, they believe it.
But a majority of Republicans, I mean, this is all the polls show, actually do believe.
Well, that's why Dominion is going to win its case. You understand that? Mm-hmm. Things like that poll are why Dominion wins its case, because they did real, provable damage. And that's why they take down all of these liars. They're all going to jail. I can't wait. They aren't going to jail. They're all going to be bankrupt. They can't go to jail. It's civil.
They got so much money that I don't know. I mean, it'd make a little dent in Murdoch's empire, but it wouldn't. Well, it might take down the lesser. I mean, people who spread the lie.
Giuliani and what's her name, the woman attorney. I don't know that it'll take down Murdoch, but it might take down Fox. You don't know.
Okay. Dream on. I want to talk about, and I have really avoided talking about the former president, and done very well at it, and have, but there was a front page story in the New York Times yesterday that delineates how his campaign stole from his credulous base the money they needed to keep their campaign going. It's a grifter's handbook.
Well, you got to be really careful that you haven't clicked that donate monthly.
That's right, but here's what they did. And the Times looked at how that you had to, if somebody got a campaign appeal from Trump, saying he needed money, needed it now. There are all these personal stories of these Trump supporters who gave. One guy who was in hospice, not a rich guy, he sees it, and on his deathbed, he writes Trump a check for $500, which for him was huge. The fact is that this guy lived on less than $1,000 a month. He gave Trump $500 while he lay dying in a hospice. That money was immediately taken out of his account. The next day, another $500 was taken out. The next week, another $500, and every week after, until he started getting notices that none of his bills were being paid, that his utilities were being shut off. And what he hadn't, of course, seen is that in small print, it said, this is a recurring monthly donation. And the box was already checked. You had to uncheck it, manually uncheck this fine print disclaimer.
There's a word for this in Yiddish. It's called ganif. G-O-N-I-F. It means thief.
Thief. The sheer magnitude. It said that what started flagging banks and credit card companies were inundated within a month or two with fraud complaints from Trump supporters who were watching their bank accounts get drained. In the final 2.5 months of the campaign last year, the Trump campaign had to refund more than $64 million to these distraught supporters. 64 mil. Now, get this. They probably knew they were going to have to do this. The grift was he had the money when he needed it, just as his finances were actually deteriorating. So he was able to use tens of millions of dollars he raised after the election under the guise then of fighting his unfounded fraud claims to then cover the refunds he owed. So once he lost the election, he started telling people, I need money to battle this. They stole the election. He turns those funds around and repaid the money he had taken from unwitting supporters when he needed that infusion of cash. Jeez. They're crooks. This was a 3-page investigative report. And it talks about it. It started in March of last year, and the first plea for money went out, and the make this a monthly recurring donation actually was in boldface. The next time it came out, it wasn't.
It was back. And that third time, it was rechecked.
It was already checked. By June, they even added a second pre-check box. So there was the pre-check box, make this, which is buried under tons of other crap that nobody reads. And then they added a second pre-check box that they called the money bomb, because that unwittingly made an additional contribution for the same amount, essentially doubled it. They were just ripping these people. They needed the money now. They were able to keep a bunch of it because some people are clueless or didn't.
They just haven't noticed yet, right?
So it says here the impact on his base, the people who were giving him the money, they busted their credit card limits. Some of these guys ended up canceling their cards. Others were paying huge overdraft fees to their banks. And yet the Trump campaign kept modifying this come on. And soon the boldface was always gone. They were moving it farther and farther down. By October, there were 9 lines of boldface text with all caps. And under that, 8 more lines came this little teeny thing of make this. No one would see it. No one would go there. And guess what? They're still doing it.
Oh, no. I can't believe that.
Yeah, the Times checked. It worked. So it's at the websites of various Republican Party committees and top congressional Republicans, including, get this, Kevin McCarthy, who will be Speaker of the House if they take the House back, and Senator Mitch McConnell. Their websites now include pre-checked boxes for multiple or recurring donations.
Well, it's buyer beware. Serves them right. I mean, they've been told 80,000 different ways that they're being ripped off, and yet they continue to do it. Okay,
fine. No, I sort of feel the same. I'm not going to waste my time feeling sorry for these people. And this investigative report ends thusly. After Trump's first public speech of his post-presidency at the end of February, he sent his new political operations first text message, because he doesn't have a personal text Twitter account yet. And the first thing out that came with his new political operation to supporters, the first words were, "Did you miss me?" And then he directed his supporters to a donation page with 2 pre-checked boxes. That day, the first time they'd heard from their dear leader, he raised $3 million, with much more to come from the recurring donations that these people didn't know they'd made. He's still doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Yep.
God.
Well, believe lies, give money away, never bother to check your accounts so that you can't see that you're being ripped off. I mean, let's count all the ways that these people aren't paying attention to anything they're supposed to be paying attention to.
Oh, my God. So there was an interesting piece. Actually, there was a book review in the, I think, Sunday New York Times, and then there was a piece in the science section today, all coming off of the same book that's been written called Hooked. And this is a book that was written by the same Pulitzer Prize winner who a few years ago wrote a book called Salt, Sugar, Fat that was a bestseller. And it explained how these are wonderful capitalist, companies, how they knowingly formulate their junk food that they sell us, the processed foods they sell us, to actually achieve what they call a bliss point, BLISS. And that is where your brain chemistry says, give me more. You can't eat just one thing. And this guy was blown away by how
salt is one of those things. Right.
What?
Salt is one of those things, sugar another.
Salt. That's right. And they knowingly are doing exactly what the tobacco companies did with their product. They know they're essentially addicting us, a lot of people. And he thought initially, I wasn't going to use the word addiction in that first book because I thought it was ludicrous. I mean, how anyone could compare Twinkies to crack cocaine, I thought that's ridiculous. But after that first book, he starts digging into the science about how these processed foods affect the brain. And he doesn't think it's ridiculous anymore.
No.
Because they knowingly, addiction happens when your brain is involved, gets excited by the stimulus, the stimulation that the drug or the food gives you. And that's why smoking crack is much more addictive than snorting crack, because if you smoke it, it goes right up to your brain. It's quickly delivered, more so than if you snort. So it's quick delivery. And here's what he found out. The smoke from cigarettes takes 10 seconds to stir the brain to that bliss point. Takes 10 seconds after you inhale. But a simple touch of sugar on your tongue will hit your brain in less than half a second, nearly 20 times faster than cigarettes. And he says, and that puts a new meaning to the term fast food. It measured in milliseconds that sugary, salty stuff that they give us. And they know it's why they make it like they do. Bango, hits your brain. And he points out how, like Philip Morris, was taking it on the chin because cigarettes weren't selling anymore. So what they do? They acquired Kraft Foods. They acquired General Foods. And for a while there, Philip Morris, which you think of as, it's a tobacco company, right? No, it was the largest manufacturer of processed foods in the country in the 80s. Kool-Aid, Cocoa Pebbles, Oreos, Capri Sun. And they were using the same game plan again. It's unbelievable.
But why? Of course they use the same game plan, because in the end, there's really only one game plan. The way to create market is to create unbridled need.
Or not need as much as
an addiction creates a need.
Well, it creates. Here's what the American Psychiatric Association lists 11 criteria that they use to diagnose a substance use disorder. And among them are craving, an inability to cut back despite wanting to, continuing to use the substance despite knowing it's causing harm. You tell me how many. I know, I'm a binge eater. I know that is, yes, it's exactly what they're saying. That is an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is the 12 steps and all that stuff, none of that works when you're talking about food. You could live your life by abstaining from nicotine, but you can't live abstaining from food. So it requires a whole lot more from the addicted person. And what these food companies have done to sort of keep us from understanding what they were doing, they became big lobbyists that shut down important research into foods, into sugary foods. Their lobbyists spearheaded laws that prevent us from suing any food company for damages. Almost half of all Americans are obese. This is a huge public health crisis that they have caused.
Well, no, not to loop it back again, but Republicans are constantly shielding, rolling back protections for the consumer against corporate powers. They've been rolling back consumer protections forever. And this is why you have, people just hating lawyers. That's another Republican thing. You hate lawyers because they're tort attorneys, because they go after civil wrongs, which keep corporations in check. Yeah. And somehow the common man has been convinced that those aren't in their interest.
Yeah. So and all of this is based on our animal instincts, because we're still operating with a body that thinks it's back in, the year 200 when you weren't sure if you were going to get food tomorrow. And so when you had food, you ate a lot because you might not have food for a while. And our brains are set in that, for not having a constant access to food. But our neurotransmitters, they're stuck in this, old evolutionary thing that helped the cavemen survive. And all they're doing to us is making us sick, making us fat, and making us sick. Even seeing pictures of certain foods can make you salivate. I mean, what they've done, they have played, and we know this, with serving sizes on the nutrition labels, deceiving people who are not really looking into how much, they're really getting with the foods they eat, or if they think they're making healthy choices, in fact, they're really not. Do you know why M&Ms aren't all brown? Are you there?
Yes. Do I know why what?
M&Ms aren't all the same color, like all brown.
Oh, because you have to engage the eye.
Yes, and it also dupes the brain into consuming more because they look different, and
right. You think you're getting different nutrients instead of sugar. Right.
You know what else these goddamn companies did? The ones that have made everybody fat. Once they realized they'd made us all fat, you know what they bought up next?
Oh, diet treatments.
Exactly. Let's take Heinz, much beloved here in Pittsburgh. Heinz, it's a processed food giant. 1978, it was way ahead of the game. It bought up Weight Watchers. Unilever, which makes Klondike bars and other ice creams, bought up Slim Fast. Nestle bought up Jenny Craig.
Well, if you control both ends of the spectrum, there's never a down.
Well, you know what? It's like the friggin' pharmaceutical companies who I'll never forget the ad I saw for. It was a pill that was to alleviate constipation in people who use opioids. And
great. Thinking, stop using the opioids and you won't be constipated.
Yeah, but first they addict all these people to opioids, and they're making tons of money off that. Then they put out another product that will deal with the side effects of that. We've got a call, I think. Hello?
Hey, Lynn. Hey, Susan. It's Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Oh, Mike. Hi.
So, Overeaters Anonymous does work. 12 steps do work on food like Alcoholics Anonymous works on alcohol. So in Alcoholics Anonymous, you tell the addict, don't have the first drink. If you don't have the first drink, you can't get drunk. So in Overeaters Anonymous, you say, don't have the first compulsive bite. You can go your entire life, Lynn and Susan, without ever eating ice cream again. I know that sounds dramatic, but you don't have to, you can eat food without eating all of the stuff that triggers you to want more. I have not had dessert in 5 years. Not a cookie, not Jell-O, not cake, not pudding, not a dessert in 5 years. Because what I noticed was after I wanted something sweet, then I wanted something salty. So I would go and I'd have crackers. Then I'd want something sweet again. And I would eat literally till I was in bed. So if you don't have the first compulsive bite of whatever your trigger is, ice cream, candy, bread, whatever, then you can't get drunk. It's the same concept, and it does work for people who have food addiction.
I'm sure it does. Right. You don't go, it's not about not eating. It's about not problem eating. It's you can get rid of whole categories.
Right. Today, just for today, not for the rest of your life. I'm not never eating dessert again. Just for today, I'm not going to have dessert. Maybe tomorrow. And if you stop that 10-second impulse of that sweet taste that goes down your gullet as you're eating it, or drinking it, right? It's the same concept. Then you can't get drunk or you can't binge.
Yeah, that's actually how I quit smoking cigarettes after 7,000 failed attempts of getting rid of all cigarettes, and then spending the next 3 years trying to be next to someone from whom I could bum a cigarette. I decided to set a date, and then I put the rest of the carton on the top of the refrigerator, and I left it there. And I just said, there you are. Don't bum. This is between you and them. You want one, just go have one. And in that way, I just quit. Because I made the decision. Each one was its own decision, and I just kept making the decision. And, that was it. I've never had another cigarette.
Yeah, but you're smoking pot.
Yeah, I know. I did substitute, but I can't possibly smoke 3 packs of pot a day. And I could smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I was a 3-pack a dayer. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Well, it is a different way of looking at it. It is the same way. I do think it's the same trick to your brain. It's not making a cosmic decision. It's making a series of decisions that allow you to make the cosmic decision.
Yeah, but why? I want to go back to these corporate drug peddlers. My God. Sons of bitches.
Take it, Mike.
Yeah, but just because they're pushing it doesn't mean I have to take it.
Okay.
I'm a sentient being, and I can say, yes, I love Klondike. Yeah. And when you said Klondike, my ears perked up, right? Klondike. Just because that Klondike interests me doesn't mean I have to have it. And the scary thing is, if I have that, I'm not powerless now. Well, people in 12-step programs aren't powerless to begin with, right? They're only powerless once they have the beer or once they have the Klondike. Then all bets are off. But when I see those Klondikes in their freezer, I can say, not my food. Like Susan said with the cigarettes, I'm not doing that today. So as long as I don't start, then I don't have to worry about binging or getting 3 packages of Klondikes so that one of them would make it home to their freezer.
Well, they melt.
All over your steering wheel sometimes, too.
All righty.
So, okay, but what's the new book called? You said it's his old book with salt, wheat,
it's called Hooked, and it's by Michael Moss. Books now have to have this endless subtitle. It's Hooked, Foods, Free Will, and How the Food Giants Exploit Our Addictions by Michael Moss. It's getting very good reviews. Okay.
Well, I appreciate the referral.
Yeah.
Okay.
When
When
Chipotle first became a thing, I remember my son bringing me a burrito bowl, and he handed it to me, and he said, "Here, it's crack cocaine in a bowl."
Yeah,
and it is, and it's the salt. It just tastes so good, and you can't figure out why it tastes so good, and it tastes so good because of the salt.
Yeah, they're playing us all the time. I don't know why you have to live your life in a defensive crouch as they try to pick your pocket and abscond with your own brain chemistry.
Well, I do try and cook for myself, and that is why.
You know what? I'm sorry. I'm back. I've knocked off some callers. I do have another caller. Hello? Forgive me. Hello?
Hi, ladies.
Hey. Hi.
Hey, didn't I hear that, at least I thought I heard, Subway sandwiches, that the bread that they make is loaded with sugar?
Yeah, there was something about, I think it was the UK that decided it wasn't really bread.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Something like that. Some national health overseer said that Subway bread does not meet the requirements to be called bread.
Okay, under a 1972 tax law, the sugar content of bread cannot exceed 2% of the weight of the flour in the dough.
Okay. So
and
obviously Subway violates that or something.
Well, the question is how much did they have in there? So I'm not going to do the whole thing yet.
Yeah. That's something.
And,
yeah, really.
Speaking of the UK, do you remember when they were trying to pass a law, something to do about potatoes and potato chips, and Pringles went to court in the UK stating that they can't be considered potato chips because they only have like a tiny little bit of potatoes in their chip. Right, exactly.
Well, I never thought Pringles were potato chips anyway. God, tastes like crap.
Well, they do. They have a definite sweet taste to them. If you.
Now, Lay's potato chips, on the other hand, are incredible. And if you want to know the power of salt, just try to eat one of those. I'm serious. Try to eat one of those.
Bet you can't eat just one.
That's right. That's why. Well, they're all in. Yeah. God, dang them. Yeah. They're playing us. I'm telling you. And our government does nothing but help aid and abet them. Yeah. Not us.
Of course, they're corporations.
Well, unless you get the Republicans out. And then we got a shot. A little one. So, thank you. Sorry I kept talking.
Bye, girls.
Bye.
Yeah, Bree sounds like he has a personal thing against Philip Morris. He said, doesn't matter how it affects the consumer as long as they part with their cash. They got a bad rap, so they changed their name. So Philip Morris doesn't exist anymore, right?
Now, well, who are they?
I don't know, but they're still the same. He says, they aid and abet people to develop bad habits, and then they pocket the profits. They know it, and there's no compunction about it. It's what they did with tobacco. They do it now with food, but all the food companies do it. Knowingly. The sons of bitches. I was doing real good not swearing much, and I've just been swearing up a storm.
Well, I mean, there is a very simple way to begin, and that's to simply not buy processed food. And
that's right.
And the options are out there. You just buy whole foods and cook yourself.
And cook, right. But for a lot of people,
that's not possible. I understand that
they live in a food desert where you.
Yes, I understand that there are economic barriers to health that this country regularly puts in the face of all of us, and so you really, you started talking about this. I immediately started thinking about monopoly and why, and not the game. The fact that we no longer go after monopolies in this country because the pattern changed. Companies didn't try to control a spectrum. They tried to control across spectrum so that we couldn't say that they were controlling any given market. But what they end up doing is simply controlling us.
All right, I want you all to get your pitchforks. I want you to get your torches. I want us to go after them. Sons of bitches. Okay, Suze, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm
in Chicago.
I know you're in Chicago. Susan's in Chicago awaiting the birth of her third grandchild.
Yeah.
And very exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yep.
Okay. All righty, you. Thanks so much.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Okay, we will. Bye, Suze.
Bye.
And bye to the rest of you, too. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to go get on the treadmill. Then I'm going to go get into that sun. Jeez, I love it. I just love it, don't you? Hard to be grumpy, even though I am, when it's so beautiful out. See you tomorrow.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.